Cowabunga dudes and dudettes, this is Anthony, aka Batbomb82, and today I'll be doing a review of the Carbotix Voltron from Blitzway and 5 Pro Studios. Now, as you can see, this figure comes in a very large box measuring almost 23 inches in height, and a really great image of Voltron. And if we turn the box around, we get more great imagery of all 5 lions and a bunch of write-ups at the bottom. So with the box out of the way, let's go ahead and crack this figure open and let him breathe. So starting off with the yellow lion, I think this thing just looks amazing. I've always loved the head design of yellow lion. It's always been really cool and very unique with those larger side panels going on there. The paint apps look great with the blue eyes, the silver mouthpiece, the red stripe going around there. All looks amazing. Even looking at the back here looks really cool too. I've always dig how it has that one big giant silver cannon on the spine. I think that thing looks so awesome. And all the paint apps look super clean on this thing. All the sculpts and all of these are incredible. And then you can see that really cool vac metal for all the legs is just gorgeous. I mean, that thing shines. I mean, they are just perfect, man. I absolutely love the way this turned out. Another cool attention to detail is that every single lion has its own cockpit where you can see a little mini pilot in there, and that's just so cool, man. They are non-removable from what I can tell, but they do look great once you pop those panels open and you see the little driver in there. I think that's just so cool. Next, we have the blue lion, and oh my god, I love the blue that they're using here. All the colors on all of these are just so gorgeous and so vibrant, especially with the blue lion here. I've always loved how the yellows and the reds play off that blue. I think it just looks so good, especially with the silver and the chrome legs, man. Oh my god, that thing just looks incredible. This is such a gorgeous piece. Next up, we have the green lion, which is my personal favorite lion, and I'm not sure why, but I think it's because the green lion was my first one that I had as a kid before I was able to build the whole entire team. So I always love that one, you know, it just holds a special place in my heart, and green lion here looks so great. I love the green that they chose here. Again, you can see the number 3 with that really cool, vibrant red color that they chose here, and all the silvers and the chromes, and his overall just proportions look really, really good to me. So this is definitely my favorite one of the bunch. And of course, now we have the red lion here, and again, the red that they chose is so badass, man. All the colors are really, really popping to me, but especially with the red lion here, again, just like the blue lion, I always thought his colors were really cool, because if you look at the back here, we get that yellow and the blues popping off that red, looking so killer. The numbers that you see there are actually done with stickers. That goes for all the lions, so you do have the option of using the stickers if you like to, or if you want a more clean look without the numbers, you can do that as well. I personally wish it was maybe a sculpted, painted piece with the numbers, but I get it, not a big deal. Again, not everyone may want the numbers, but I personally do, because I think it just adds a little more character to them. But still, the overall red lion looking great. I've always liked how the red lion itself is a little more squared shape in comparison to the green lion, where he's a lot more cylindrical. I think that's really cool. So both those lions side by side look really cool to me. Now lastly, we get the Big Daddy himself, the black lion, looking so good to me. The paint apps are gorgeous with the yellow eyes, the little blue piece right at the center of the forehead. I really love that gold vac metal that we're getting for like the earpieces on the top there, looking so, so good. Looking at the back, we can see the folded up wings right there, and of course the number 1 right there, smack dab on the back. This guy just looks big and beefy, and he really is. He is the heaviest lion of the bunch, as he has a lot of metal pieces in him. So I am just loving how this turned out. He just looks so good, man. I cannot get enough of it. Moving on to the articulation here, I'm going to show you with the green lion, because the green and red lion are pretty much the same thing. So you can rotate the head side to side and things like that, up and down a little bit. If you pull it out a little bit, you get a little more articulation there. The jaw does articulate as well. If you use the little tool here, you can pull out the little tongue blasters that we get in there like that, which I think is really, really rad. So I do love that a lot. You can take them and put them down just like so. The arms are almost like on little ball joints at the shoulder area like that, so they can roll around and move around back and forth. The knee joints and the ankles are a bit ratchet on both the front and the hind legs, looking really good. They all work pretty solidly. You even get a little more articulation on the tail there, like that. And at the midsection, you do get a little bend back and forth like so, as well as a rotation. That's mostly due to the Voltron robot form. So that all works very, very well. And I just love how the Green Lion turned out, man. It looks so, so good. Now for both leg lines, I'm going to be showing the articulation with the yellow line here, so he can look all the way up like so, which is mostly due to the transformation of the Voltron bot itself. The head itself is on a separate ball peg attached to the neck, so that can roll around, look up and down, all the things you're going to need it to do. It works out very, very well. We do, of course, get the articulated jaw that works out very nicely, and much like the Green Lion, we do get ball joints at the shoulders there where we can roll around, back and forth, and then, of course, the ratcheted knees and ankles on the front as well as the back there, working very, very nice. And you can see how solid they really are. They're very, very tight, especially for the legs. I do appreciate that a lot. And of course, you get articulated tail, same as the other lines. All of this works very well. You do get a midsection that again goes back and forth just like so, and just very solid piece. So I love the articulation on all the lines. But again, I really appreciate all the ratcheting that we get here. Now, of course, moving on to the Black Lion himself here, the head works out very great. There is a ton of motion in there. You can see back and forth at the base of the neck. There's also a ball joint in there, so you can roll the whole head around, swivel left and right, up and down. The jaw can open really nicely. It's just working out so, so good. The shoulders can go back and forth just like so. And again, ratcheted elbows and ankles at the front legs, as well as the back legs. The back legs are super tight. That's mostly because of the Voltron bot. You want those extra tight. You can also kind of rotate up there at the hip area, and again, nice ratchets at the knees and the ankles, as well as another bend at the tail there. You do get a more of an ab crunch. Again, that is because of the Voltron bot, as those will swivel at the hips or slash waist. They're working very, very nicely. So again, another very solid articulation for this lion. So now I'm going to show off the LED feature, how they work for all the lines. I'm going to be using the Green Lion here. As you can see, they work the same way for both the green and red lions. You can just pop off the head. It's just on a straight up little peg right there. And if you turn this around, you can see the little peg that actually slides into the actual arm itself. You can just pull that down like so, and you'll see a little pin area like that. Now what you're going to want to do, we do get little really tiny like 1 watt little light LED lights and a little battery pack in there. They're super tiny. Luckily we do get little tools to put these in because you're really going to need those tools that we get here for pretty much everything when putting this guy together. And as you can see, once the battery actually touches the LED, it will go on automatically. So once you pull the battery out, it will go off. So you might want to keep them off or just not have them making contact with the actual LED. And again, we get this little tool here that works out very nicely. So if you take the actual head like so, you'll see the little cylinder piece in there. You can just slide that in all the way like that and give it a nice push to where it's actually stuck in place. And you can see the LED on like so, looking really cool. And it's hard to see with the light on, but once you turn some light off, it actually looks really cool. Not super vibrant, but you can still see it, and I think it works out great. Now moving on to the leg lions, I'm going to use the blue line here as they're both the same for the blue and yellow lions. So you're just going to pop the head off. Again, they're just on the center, a little straight peg that works out really nicely. If you open the mouth, you can see that the batteries are actually already in there, but you do have to pull off the clear little plastic piece that's kind of separating the battery from making contact with the actual LEDs. But if you turn around on the inside, all it is just a little switch that you just pop on, boom, just like that, and it works out really good. And again, you can't really see the lights all that much in here. But if you turn off the lights, again, it'll look really, really cool. And these actually do work a lot better, in my opinion, compared to the actual arm lions. So that's good. Moving on to the Black Lion, I think this is even easier. You don't have to remove the head for this one. So if you actually take the lion and go towards the back here, you will see a panel where you can actually see the 3 little button cell batteries are already in there. Just pull that down. And it does have a little clear plastic piece where you can pull out. That's what's keeping the batteries from actually touching the actual LED light. So that works out really good. And if you turn the lion back around, there's just a little switch under the neck like so. You can turn on the lights like that and they work out really nicely. But of course, if you turn off the lights, you can see those LEDs even better, which works out great. Even in lion form looks good, but even in Voltron form, you get the Voltron robot eyes that are glowing nice and vibrant too. I think that's so cool, man. So I love how they even did that. Now, taking a look at the really awesome stand that we get here, you can see the really cool cross and crown logo like that. We're going to take one of the tools that we get with this set here, and we're going to go ahead and just lift up the little panel right here. It can be a little tricky sometimes, but once you get it right, it works out really nicely. And we can reveal all the extra weapons and accessories that we do get for Voltron and all the different lion bots, just looking so cool. You can lift up the little clear plastic piece and reveals all kinds of just awesome, fun stuff, man. I love how they did this. But what I also like, when you start removing pieces, you will see little shapes of those pieces, so you always know where to put the proper weapons and guns and things like that back, so they all fit perfectly, almost like a really intricate, stabby version of Tetris. It's really nice. Now, one thing that's really cool is that this stand here has all kinds of different functionalities, which is really nice. So if we turn it around here, you can see all these little slots. We do get these really cool acrylic stands that are very nicely done. You can see they have little colored stripes on the back here. That's going to be able so you could coordinate the different colored lines to the different little stands like so. And you're going to slide them in like that, so the red will go on the far end just like that. And if we take the blue one right there, we're going to slide them in like so. So that works out really good. Nice tight fit, looking good like that. Give them a nice little push there. We do have a white piece like that, which is going to be for the black line. It's the largest one in there. So we're going to slide that in right there, looking really good, just like that. And then of course we can get the yellow one, get that in there, real tight fit sometimes, to make sure you get in there all the way. And then the green one piece like that as well. And this is just really cool to see this, man. I love how they designed this whole thing to where it looks like the streaks are coming from the lions. I think that's so rad. And then they pretty much just peg into every butthole of all the lions, which is really nice. But it makes for a really cool display, man. And I love seeing the lions individually shooting out like that, especially when you look at it from the back. Again, the colors just shooting off from them, leaving that colored streak, you know, like they're soaring off into space and getting ready for a battle. I think it's so cool. And this is just a really, really awesome way to display all the lions without having them in actual Voltron mode. Another really cool inclusion is that we get little minifigure pilots, which stand about an inch tall from the tallest one to about 3/4 of an inch with a little pitch there. But all of these are really nice. They're really, really tiny. The sculpts are really cool, and the paint-ups are surprisingly clean. But I love having these, and they all have little black stand bases, so you can lay them a little more flatter when they're standing up. But I love these. Now we can take all those extra accessories that were in the stand, things like the shoulder cannons that you can just port into the shoulders of all the individual lions. Things like the mouth blades look really, really cool. You could even take the little pilot minifigures and stand them and pose them on top of the individual lions, which I think is really cool. And all the limb lions, they have these little back panels that you can lift up, and you can show off these extra little lasers and blasters and things like that, which I think is so cool. Pidge there, of course, is also my absolute favorite. He just looks really, really nice. But all the other lions look great too. That really cool mouth blade for the blue lion, I think is just killer. Absolutely love that. And of course, the yellow lion looks awesome as well. I mean, all of these, man, all these different accessories that you get there are really cool. And I just love every bit of it. So now moving on to the transformation here, for the arm lions, I'm going to go ahead and use the red line here, since red and green are pretty much the exact same thing. So we're going to lift this back panel right here. We're going to take one of the little tools that we get with the set here that, again, really come in handy. You're going to use this tool to ply out the little peg like that. It is extremely tight since it is ratcheted, which is a good thing for robot mode for Voltron. And then you're going to want to take the tail and just going to fold that in like that, just collapse that and close up the little panel there. You're going to want to lift the legs towards the back like this. They are on little ball joints, and you'll see a little panel like that pressed against the hip there. Again, you're going to want to use the little tool to help pry it open. This little tool comes in handy for pretty much everything. It's such a nice tool. I love it. So you're going to pop up the little panel like that, and then flap it open like so. And then you want to take the leg like this and just kind of fold it in however you need to, just like that. Fold up the little angle, give it a little press inside, and then close up the little panel, which I think is really cool. Those little panels really help to cover up the, you know, the lion mode of the legs. So I think that's really cool and gives it a nice clean look. Same thing with the front legs. You're going to take the little tool and then pop up the little panel there, because they do actually peg in when you have them like that. So you can just pull it up like that. And same thing like the back legs, just fold it up the way you need to, just like so. Give it a little push in, and then cover up the leg with that little panel like that. and doing the same thing to both sides, and you have a really cool red lion in its arm position, which just looks so great. Now moving on to the leg lions, I'm going to go ahead and use blue here. These are a lot easier than the arms. So you're basically going to take the head and fold it all the way up into its foot position, just like that. You're going to take this little piece right here and fold it all the way back. That's going to act as almost a heel for Voltron, so that works out really good. It really does help the balance there. You're going to go ahead and put this panel up like so, where you can take the tail and then fold that in just like that. Works really, really nicely. You're going to take the front legs and just fold them up like that. Very, very easy transformation. Get a little push in just like that. You can do that to both sides, just like that. Again, super, super easy. With this one, we're not going to really need the little tool that we needed for the arm lions. We're just going to take these panels. They're a lot easier to open up like that. So you just use my fingers there. And we're going to fold the legs in like so. Give them a little push, and then use the panel to cover up the legs like that. Again, I really love these panels because they really do help the Voltron bot look a lot cleaner instead of just seeing, you know, robot legs everywhere. I think that's super cool. So you get again, there's a little peg system right there. Plug them into the legs, and there you go, like that. Really nice looking foot or leg for Voltron. Oh, and also you're going to want to take the little panel here at the butt and just lift that up like so. This is where you're actually going to plug in the black lion. This is where they're actually going to connect to hold them in pieces, and they will lock into place once you have them connected. So now moving on to the black lion here, the main guy, the big guy, the heaviest freaking lion of the bunch. We're going to start with the tail here. We're just going to fold that in like so, pretty easy. We're going to go ahead and straighten out the legs just like that. Then we're going to go into the feet area. Again, just straighten those out. You're basically going to point the toes like that because those are going to slide into the limb lines for the legs. You're going to take these little panels right here on the shoulders, and we're going to take the legs and just pretty much just fold those in like that. Take that panel, close that back up. Same thing with the other side. We're going to open up the panel, take the leg itself, and just fold that right in like that, and then close up that panel. Then we're going to fold the shoulders forward like this. And those little red pieces will push in. They're a little tight, they're a little tricky. They're to pretty much lock in the shoulders like that, and this really does help out to keep everything together once you have it in full Voltron mode, so I like that. So have a nice stiff hold. We can actually take the head here and just leave it just like that, straighten out, because we're going to do that lastly. So then we're going to go to the back here. We're going to flip up the wings just like this. Curve those up like that, and just like so on the other side like so, and you can see there is a little bit of a cut there just like that to go over those shoulder pieces so they can rest on there. I love that a lot. And again, we're going to save the head for last, but this is basically Black Lion in Voltron mode before you add all the limbs and of course form the head. So now we're going to start attaching all the lions to the black lion here. So we're going to start with the legs, make sure everything's straight here. We're going to take the blue lion like so, and we're going to again just slide it all the way in like that and give it a nice little push. You will hear a click, and that means it's going to be locked in place like that. So that works out good. You see it does hold in there pretty well. We're going to take the yellow line the same side, again push it all the way in, make sure it's actually locked in. Sometimes if it's not locked in, it will fall off like that. Just make sure it is locked in. If you want to take them off, you'll see little buttons on the back right here. That is a release, so you can pull them off nice and easily, put them back on, locks in place. Again, just push that little button in order to slide off the leg lions. So now we're going to move on to the arms here, give them a little push back. We're going to start off with the red line like this. This is pretty easy, just slides into a little shoulder peg like that where a little gold circle is like that. Just push them in there like that. They are ratcheted and they will hold into place very well. I'm actually surprised how well the arms actually do connect, same thing like that. Take the green one, same thing with the other side, just plug it into the little gold piece like that, give them a little push, and then fold it down like that, looking super cool. Now the best part that we've all been waiting for, I'll form the head. So I just put the lion head down like that, give the little golden earpieces down like so, pull down the face plate with the head like that, and boom! Now we have our fully formed Voltron, looking freaking dope, and man, this guy's so impressive, I love it. Now just seeing Voltron all put together here, we see the arm lines, the red and green, they're just looking so cool, especially the green lion, man. The legs looking really good with blue and yellow line here, just looking so awesome. I've always loved the way they look. But taking a look at the top here of Voltron, the head sculpt is gorgeous. I absolutely love the blue. The paints of all of this thing look great with the silver teeth, the gold eyes. I really love that vac metal gold for the like horn ears that we have on the bot itself, looks super cool. Moving down to the the midsection. Oh my god, the vac metal, again, gold for the cross logo with the crown looks great. The whole chest piece looks awesome. We even get the belt with the star. They're looking really good too. I love the fact that they chose more of a yellow than the vac metal gold. I really dig that, but this all looks super clean, man. The paint is just very premium. Turning Voltron around, we can see the back here with those wings looking beautiful as always, with the #1 smack there in the middle. Even the back of the legs look really good. You can see all the different legs fold up. Again, that vac metal chrome is just so cool, man. So now let's take a look at Voltron's articulation. So the head can look all the way up forward like that, looking so good. Can turn left and right. The head is on a ball peg like so at the base of the neck, so you get lots of good motion there. I mean, you look pretty much up at every angle you possibly need. The arms can go full 360 if you need to, all the way up like that at the shoulder peg, as well as the actual like peg that comes out of the lion itself. Nice tight ratcheted joints, so those work out beautifully. You can go again all the way up more. There's a separate joint at the shoulder of the black line, so that works out really good as well. We can a double bend at the elbow like that, or excuse me, single bend, my fault, but it works out very nicely. Again, ratcheted, so that works out really good too. We can't take the legs of, excuse me, the arms here and swivel. We get a swivel at the so-called wrist or neck of the lion, and of course the hand/jaw does open up like that. And the same thing for both lions. We do get a bit of an ab crunch in there like that. More crunches forward, and that's a big help to the black line right there. So that works out really good for a lot of poses. You can also swivel a little bit. It will hit the belt piece at the front where the star is, so it is hindered just a tiny bit, but you do get enough in my opinion. The hip joints on the black line are very nice, tight ratchet joints, which is going to really good. You can kick forward and backward. You could also do a really far splits with this guy, which is pretty surprising. So I really dig that a lot. You can swivel at the hip there. That works out really nicely. And then you get a really solid bend at the knee for both lions like that, kicking all the way back, which is really good. Then you can swivel a little bit above the lion like that. But there are like these almost like ankle rockers, I guess if you could want to call them that. That work out very nicely. And the neck/toes or feet will point back and forth again. And that heel does help that you pop out of the blue and yellow lions. So the articulation for this guy works out pretty well. Again, it's pretty much ratcheted everywhere, which is a good thing. And trust me, this thing is has a lot of metal parts in it, and so those ratcheted joints are really going to help for pretty much any type of posing you want to do. So we do get an interchangeable faceplate, which I think is pretty nice. This is a more yelling, more expressive type of faceplate, which looks pretty cool. And if you look at the back here, you can see some translucent yellow plastic. That's more for like the light piping with the LEDs here. So how are you going to change that out is you're going to take the little tool and you're just going to pry it off the little pegs. It can be a little tricky, but once you have it off, it'll look something like this. And then you're going to take the other plate and push that on. And now it is kind of a bit of at an angle, so it might be a little tricky to get on there, but once you have it on, it looks pretty cool. And I always think it's funny that Voltron the robot has a very expressive face, so that's pretty interesting. Next up, we do get these dual blades here, which look really nice. The sculpts of the handles look really good with that polished blue. And then we do get vac metal chrome for the actual blades themselves. We also do get pegs on the handles so you could peg inside the lion mouths. But we do get connector pieces like so you can plug them into each other. And you have one big, more like lance spear type of weapon, which I think is super cool. And this thing is huge, man. It is very big and just very fun. Or you can just take it off and have Voltron dual wield some smaller swords, which I think is pretty rad. So of course we get the iconic Voltron shield, which almost acts as more of like a bladed weapon than an actual shield. I mean, this thing has always looked like a ninja star to me, but the gold, red, and blue paint look amazing. Again, that vac metal is just gorgeous. If we actually take a look at the back here, we can see a really nice sculpted blue handle, which does detach, and it can be split into two sections. This is so you can position it in different ways, and you'll see what I mean here in a bit here. But we can take like the green lion, open up the mouth, and both hand lions do have little ports inside the mouth where you could take those little pegs and you can just plug them in just like so, and they'll hold pretty good. And you just close up the mouth. Then we'll take the actual shield itself and just peg it in like so. Goes in there really nice and tight, and it holds very well, so you can hold it off to the side looking super cool. I mean, man, again, more of a weapon than an actual shield itself, but since it is in different sections at the handle, you can rotate it to have it facing more forward like so. So if you want to do something like that, that works as well. So again, this thing just looks super freaking cool to me. I absolutely love this weapon. So of course, next we have to have the blazing sword. And this thing is amazing. The handle itself looks really nice. I love the gold cross there with the silver plate, and all the red additions to the handle look amazing. But look at this blade, man. This is one of the most iconic swords in all of pop culture. I mean, the length of this thing is huge. Look at the edge of that blade with all those points. I mean, this thing can really hurt somebody. And again, just so iconic, so gorgeous. The vac metal looks great. Looks so freaking awesome, man. But if you look at this inside the handle there, it does have that same type of peg that we give for all the different weapons. So we can take red line here, open up the mouth, and again, both arm lines do have the little pegs inside the upper roof of the mouth, which works out nicely. So if you just squeeze the handle in there, you can plug it in like that, close up the mouth, and it holds in there very nicely. Luckily, the sword is fairly lightweight plastic, but once you have them posed up, it looks super cool. And again, just such a badass looking piece. So we do get more options for the display base itself. We do have little black arms that will be able to fold out like this. And this is for displaying the sword and shield. When you have all 5 lines in the individual flight poses like that, and you can see where you can actually port the sword and shield, which I think is pretty cool and pretty unique. We can also take those colored arms and stand them more vertically to where the colored parts are actually facing forward. Now this is going to be for more of displaying Voltron in actual bot mode. You could even use the white stand in the middle to actually port Voltron in to almost give him more of a flight pose, or you could just stand him flat-footed with the blue and yellow lines directly on the base itself. Now we also do get little connector pieces for this version of the display, so we do get this clear piece like that. It's pretty long. This is going to be for connecting to the actual red stand like so, and it just plugs in very solidly. This is going to be for displaying the actual sword on the actual display stand, which just gives more options. I'm all for more options. We also do get another little connector piece for the green stand like that plugs in, and this one's going to be for displaying the actual shield. Again, just more options. So if you don't want to display the sword or shield in his actual hands, you can display them on the actual stands themselves, which again just looks very cool to me. So for a quick size comparison, here he is sitting next to a Marvel Legends Deadpool and Mafex Batman figure. Also for comparison, here he is sitting next to a few other Voltrons in my collection, being the Super 7 Ultimates Voltron, Funko Pop, and my childhood Panache Voltron. And yes, that's the one I've had ever since I was a kid. It's seen better days, but I still love it. And just for fun, here he is with little Lego Bat Bomb. So there it is, guys, my review of the Carbotix Voltron. Now this thing has got to be one of the most impressive figures I have ever seen. And I'm going to go ahead and say it, yes, this is the best Voltron you can possibly buy. Next to an actual 1-to-1 scale of Voltron that you can actually pilot yourself, that's how good this thing is. The mixture of die-cast metal and plastic parts work out perfectly. It's metal where it needs to be metal, it's plastic where it needs to be plastic. All the ratcheted joints really help with every bit of posing this guy around. Everything is nice and tight where it needs to be. The sculpt itself is pretty much perfect as much as you get for an actual Voltron. It just looks so good. The proportions are awesome. All the paint apps are just gorgeous, nice, vibrant colors for everything. Very polished, very clean. It's silver where it needs to be silver. It's vac metal where it needs to be vac metal. I love all the different LED options for all the different heads, which is really cool too. I love all the different weapons, especially the blazing sword and shield. I mean, those things are super impressive. I love all the different attachments and extra weapons that we get for the individual lines. We even get an interchangeable faceplate, and I love the display base, having the different options for displaying the individual lines as they're flying out, or as Voltron in bot mode, even displaying the weapons in different positions, and you could store everything in the actual base itself. I mean, this thing has it all. It is, in my opinion, the best Voltron that you could possibly get. Yes, it's expensive, but it is definitely worth it, and definitely a must get. So be excellent to each other, and stay nerdy, my friends. Peace.